Hello, welcome back. How you doing? Just moving on a little bit from the previous video that we discussed about what sort of radios to buy if you're interested in shortwave. And one of the questions that I get so many times is people say, oh Fred, you know, I've watched your video on shortwave. I find it quite interesting, but is it really worth buying a shortwave radio? What is on shortwave to listen to now in 2025? I get all the news that I ever want on my phone, and I can go onto my computer and I can listen to a radio station all around the world instantly without any interference or fading. You know, well, what's the point? I get that, and if you're happy with that, then really there's no point in getting a shortwave radio, to be perfectly honest, because you're quite right. It's on media, it's on your phone. Don't know what happens when you get a power cut and the internet goes down, but that's few and far between. You've got to really sort of feel the magic of radio. To me, personally, I still feel a little bit in awe that you get a little pocket radio like this one for less than £10. Just extend the antenna this much and I can pick up radio stations all around the world. Tokyo, China, all around the world, just from that, on a 10 quid radio. Yeah, and I could do it on my computer, and I could do it better on my computer, but it's not DX and it's not radio propagation. That still interests me. Now, as far as what is there to listen to, that again is personal taste. It's not as popular as it was. I mean, I suppose it peaked in the 70s, maybe early 80s, and then since then it's drifted away. Obviously, internet radio has pretty much wiped out shortwave. You can get hybrid radios, of course. We've got this little one that I tested here. It's LC90. This is a shortwave radio with upper and lower sideband. It also has internet radio as well, so you can get the both worlds, but this is relatively expensive, I think approaching £200, so it's not for the faint-hearted. But no, it's true, you can get it all on your computer, on your phone. Me personally, what I found is, and since I started testing shortwave radios a couple of years ago, I hadn't really touched radios, not even, you know, FM, AM. I was into ham radio, into CB radio, but when I had these radios on tests, and it could even be a cheap one like this one or the 328, for example, I found that I would just tune into, like say, Radio China, just have it on in the background behind me while I'm doing computer editing, and just listen to the news from other countries, because it's kind of interesting getting a different perspective. Now, in the UK, obviously, our main news comes from BBC and Sky. We can get Fox News, things like that. Certainly the BBC news, it's a bit biased. It tends to be a bit filtered as well. I mean, they're only going to tell you what they really want you to know. So when you've got a lot of conflicts going on in the world, and my God, have we got conflict? Israel, Gaza, you know, Ukraine, that's on a daily basis. I find that the reports that you get, especially from, say, Radio China, obviously Radio China is going to be restricted, it's going to be filtered as well, but I find them a lot more graphic, shall we say, in what they report, and I just find they go into a bit more detail, which might be a bit disturbing or not. It interests me though, things like that. So I like listening to the news in other countries, and recently I had one of these in the background, just doing my editing, and then they had a program on Radio China about it was the anniversary of Hiroshima, and they went into about half-an-hour program, and they had recordings of interviews of people that actually experienced the bomb. They were actually in Hiroshima and so obviously survived it, but what they saw and in the after effects, which was quite horrific. I hadn't heard as much detail. I imagine these were pre-recorded, because I imagine a lot of those people obviously are very old, or they've passed away now. But again, I didn't hear anything like that on BBC, and I found myself sitting in there, actually stopped what I was doing and listening to it. And I think that's the thing. I think radio, yeah, you may not listen to a lot of shortwave, and that's why I said on the last video, it's probably an idea to buy a little cheap radio first and see how you get on. But it's kind of like I find it quite homely. I find it quite sort of warming, quite satisfying, just having the noise on in the background, even if it's the World Service or something on DAB, just having it on. And I'd missed that for years and years and years. I'd missed it. I'd not had a radio in the home. But that's my personal opinion. You could say, well, I can just flick on my phone, listen to it on my phone, or that. If you like that, then as I say, you really don't get it. As we discussed on the other video, There's also sideband, listening to real people chat. I like listening to the guys chat on 40 meters quite a lot. That's 27, sorry, not 20, that's 7 megahertz and up 7150 going upwards. And sometimes I have that on in the background as well, just listening to the guys chew rag. On say that on 20 meters it's a lot of competitions 5x9s, but I like listening to 40 meters. You can get 40 meters just with a telescopic antenna on your radio. If you want to listen to CB, as I mentioned on the last video, you're going to need a dedicated CB antenna really. You can get very local communications on a telescopic whip antenna, but you really do need a CB antenna. And then finally, don't dismiss second-hand radios. I picked this up, this Seishu. Really nice radio this. I picked this up for I think under £25 in a charity shop with a power transformer. And these go for, I think these go for like about £60 or £70 on eBay. It's quite a good receiver. It's quite a good receiver. So, you know, keep an eye out. Maybe car boot sales, but maybe charity shops and charity auction sites as well. They tend to be a little bit cheaper than eBay. So yeah, that's it really. That was just this video. I mean, what do you think? Do you think shortwave's completely dead? I get it if you think it is, or are you like me? Do you find it kind of, I don't know, warming if you like? Do you find it homely listening to a radio in the background? Maybe I'm getting too old for this. I don't know. Anyway, that was it. Just a chat. Let me know your opinions in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. If I didn't share, got some more radios to review. That will be coming up as always. Thumbs up from me. If you get a second, just give me the thumbs up down below. Just return it. I would appreciate that. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Please, please, please look after each other. Stay safe. Catch you on the next video. Cheers, guys.